I'm flying 12 hours to France to answer a simple question. Can a complete beginner learn oil painting in just 10 days? My teacher is a talented artist who also happens to be my mom. And she thinks I'm totally crazy. Between the jet lag, the technical failures, and the midway breakdown where I almost quit, this was one of the hardest challenges I've ever done. But the final result, even I didn't see it coming. This is day one, and I have a very special guest, my mother. And she's gonna be teaching me everything I need to know about oil painting, hopefully. Because I only have 10 days to learn. Right?
Yes.
Let's do it. Day one started with a brief introduction to oil painting from my teacher. And then I got started on my first painting, this legendary Stickman.
Ouais, en fait, t'es nul. C'est ça qu'il faut que je dise.
I'm very bad. My mom wasn't impressed, but this was needed to establish my current skill level. After that, I made a few upgrades to the setup, because if I was going to spend the next 10 days freezing in the garage, it had to at least look good on camera. And while I level up the setup, let's talk about the rules for this challenge. Number 1, I must paint at least 3 paintings over the 10 days of the challenge. Number 2, my mother will choose the final thing I'm painting. Number 3, if my mom isn't genuinely impressed by my progress and my last painting on day 10, I lose. And I'll bill her whatever she wants. She's talked about wanting a new coffee table more than once. I've also included some Q&A with her experience about oil painting throughout the video. Alors, maman,
Oui.
how long did it take you to learn oil painting?
Combien de temps pour apprendre? Ouais, plusieurs mois.
Ah, c'est tout, pas plusieurs années?
Après, tu t'améliores au fur et à mesure. Chaque fois qu'on déménageait, j'allais dans un nouvel atelier, donc j'apprenais des choses différentes.
With the day one part of the thumbnail locked in and a better setup, it was time to start the real first painting, this beautiful still life. This challenge, once again, not very smart, but I think it's definitely going to be fun to rewatch it later. So, but yeah, some wine will definitely, most surely, help a lot.
Bon, là, ils font un truc là où ils font pas. Tiens, je prends une...
Alright, let's do this. Alright, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kinda, genuinely scared about this challenge because it seems that my mom has too much faith in me, honestly, because, oh my god, she's gonna be so disappointed. Fruits aren't the most exciting subject to paint, but a still life felt like the right choice for a first real painting. Unfortunately, my first drawing of those fruits was a total disaster. They were way too big, and my mom's reaction was immediate and honestly pretty fair. Told you I was bad. So we erased everything and started over, using a trick she showed me. Drawing vertical and horizontal center lines as reference points. That helped tremendously. Once the drawing was done, my mom taught me my first real lesson, putting down the underpainting using yellow ochre and burnt umber. At this stage, we're only mixing the paints with turpentine oil, no medium yet, which means they dry very fast. My teacher checked in on me regularly, giving small corrections along the way. Things like being more deliberate with my brushstrokes or remembering to paint the size of the canvas. Small details, but they mattered a lot. Okay, I came back for another session later in the day, but the lighting was terrible and I could barely see the colors anymore. So instead of forcing it, my mother explained that we would start using medium the next day. I then painted the table and called it there. There's a funny thing about still life paintings. In French, we call them nature morte, which actually translates to dead nature, which, if you ask me, is a pretty accurate description of how my painting looked like at the end of day one. It was just very brown, and it didn't bring me any joy at this point. Sometimes, you gotta trust the process. That evening, I finally allowed myself to start watching some YouTube painting videos. And I've got a confession. You see, while I'm a big Nerdforge fan, I've always skipped Martina's painting videos because I was way more interested in the crafting projects they were doing. But now that I'd actually tried painting myself, they suddenly became fascinating. I ended up watching them all throughout the rest of the week, and they're very good. It's day 2, and we've got a lot of work to do today. I started drinking those while I was playing World of Warcraft many years ago. That's good. Day 2 was all about the next step of the process. Now that we had an underpainting, it was time to block out the colors, which meant finding those colors. And oh boy, was this hard!
Ok, bon.
Oh non! Ah, c'est toxique en plus la peinture à l'huile.
Ouais, ouais.
Honestly, mixing and finding colors ended up being the hardest part of this challenge for me. We also started using medium at this point, which means the paint now takes forever to dry. That sounds kind of annoying, but it's actually amazing because it lets you mix colors directly on the canvas. That's kind of the secret superpower of oil painting. By the end of day 2, all the colors were blocked in. I even had time to start adding values to the lemon, which I was pretty happy with. This is when I started to believe that this challenge might actually be doable. That feeling wouldn't last very long.
Combien de temps ça te prenait d'en faire une?
Une semaine?
Ouais, 7 jours. J'ai 10 jours pour en faire 3.
Ah ouais.
Alright, it's now day 3, and today I'm gonna finish this painting. The only problem, I don't have that much time again today because, you know, family. So let's just get into it. Day 3 was all about shading and bringing out the details. It was still super cold in the garage, but Monster kept me somewhat warm. My mom wasn't happy with my lemon leaf, so she showed me how to fix it. Shading sounds complicated, but it's actually stupidly simple. First, you put a darker color, then a lighter one next to it, then an even lighter one next to the lighter one. And then you just blend where the colors touch. That's it. That's the secret. But it only really works with oil painting.
If you guys are wondering why I've exiled myself into the garage to do this challenge, it's because it stinks. Like the oil, the turpentine thing, the oil thing, like it kind of smells bad and it's kind of toxic as well. So you need good airflow. I'm not gonna do it in the house with kids and stuff.
I originally wanted to start with the apple because my family kept calling it a tomato. But she told me to deal with the banana first, so I refocused my efforts there. The banana is in the back, so it made more sense to start with it. After that, I moved on to the apple and the orange. Shadows, highlight, more colors, values. I'll let the footage speak for itself here. Quick side note, if you're enjoying this so far, please consider dropping a like. I'd really appreciate it. And if you like watching me learn and build things the hard way, you might want to subscribe. And just like that, another day was over. And so was my first real painting. I only spent 2 to 3 hours per day on it, with all the Christmas preparations happening at the same time. So I'm pretty happy with it.
Actually, before I finish day 3, I think I'm gonna go get my mom and ask her what she thinks about it. Let's get her. My mom thinks I'm not done, and my dad wanna see, because my dad is my biggest supporter, you know. So let's see what they think about it.
La banane, elle a un creux là, inexistant.
Un tableau, bravo. Hein.
See, my dad is so supportive and my mom hates my banana.
Très bien.
Ouais.
Bravo.
My mom still didn't like the banana. At this point, I think she just hates bananas. She also wasn't a fan of the leaf, saying the color didn't look very natural. She wasn't wrong. But it was time to start another painting. One that would break me. For my second painting, I got overconfident. I decided to paint a custom version of Soul Edge, the demonic sword from Soul Calibur.
It's kind of straight, I think.
After the still life, I thought I could paint anything. I thought painting wasn't even that hard, but my subject brought me back to reality. The drawing had to be adjusted a few times, and once I started painting, things were actually going okay until I got to the details. That's when it hit me. At that scale, every tiny brushstroke mattered. Every color shift, every edge. and I just didn't have the control for it. My entire family got involved. Everyone had something to say. This part was wrong. You can't do that with oil painting. It's not possible. You can't even learn oil painting in 10 days. All those voices piled up until my head was spinning. And they didn't help. They just made things worse. I don't really need someone else to tell me that I cannot do something. My brain already does that pretty well. And that's when I had what I can only describe as my first artist breakdown. I stopped caring. This painting was a failure. So I just tried things. And at that point, in my mind, the challenge was basically over. This is going to be the end of day 4, I guess. And this is the result. Beautiful, beautiful painting. Yeah, so, a couple hours ago, getting excited about painting. Then my sister and my mom taught me an important lesson that what I was trying to make is not doable with oil painting, or that it will take months, basically. They're probably right, which is why I kind of gave up on it. So, I'll show you what can be done in 10 days. Just going to move on to the third painting and that's it. So, yeah, we'll see. I woke up on day 5 with no hope. I just wanted the challenge to be over. And I seriously thought about calling it. And I'm not proud of it. So I had to remind myself why I was doing this in the first place. I don't consider myself an artist, and I've never really been interested in oil painting or painting in general. So why put myself through all of this? Honestly, the reason is simple, and it might sound stupid to you, but it comes down to wanting to impress my mother. She's a talented artist, and she's been painting and sculpting for years. There are paintings all over my parents' house, with even more stacked away in the attic. Me, I'm more of a computer nerd. I write code for a living and I like to play video games. I've dabbled in nerdy hobbies before, a bit of Gunpla, a bit of Warhammer, but nothing serious, nothing like traditional art. And honestly, none of the things I built for YouTube over the past year ever felt like they truly impressed her. To be fair, she's kinda hard to impress, probably because she expects a lot from her only son. So after woodworking, electronics, 3D modeling, 3D printing, and all of that failed to move the needle, I decided to take the fight to her turf and try to learn oil painting under a ridiculous time constraint, while flying my family from Thailand to France for the holidays. Was it a good idea? Probably not, but let's see if the next 5 days change that or not. Yeah, day 4 was a failure, but I'm still gonna push through, but I'm gonna take my time because this is day 5. So including today, I have 6 days left. So I went ahead and asked my mom to give me the painting she wants me to do. I was expecting some kind of landscape or something, but she actually went with something cuter. Well, she did pick with my son, but this is what she chose. Eevee from Pokemon. It's a very, very cute Pokemon. And suddenly this challenge didn't feel quite as hopeless anymore. You see, Umbreon, Eevee's Dark Evolution, is actually one of my favorite Pokemon. So I was immediately into it. And because this painting will end up being for my son, I really wanted to get it right in the 6 days I had left. I started with the underpainting and then used the grid to properly scale the model to the canvas. It took me an entire day, but it was well worth it. Thanks to the grid, the drawing came out great on the first try. By day 6, Eevee was fully drawn, but the failure from day 4 was still hanging over my head. So I decided to change environment and paint outside, under the sun. It was still super cold, but it felt worth it. Blocking out the colors this time felt almost like painting by numbers. I wasn't worrying about shading yet, just filling in each section and getting a base layer down. My son helped me a little bit, and I have a feeling the next Eevee he makes might outshine mine. Seeing Eevee take shape in front of me did something strange to my brain. The sun helped too, but the subject did most of the work. And for the first time since the breakdown, I felt like I could actually do this, bit by bit, stroke by stroke. Day 7, I was back in the garage. With the colors blocked in, I focused on the eyes. I wanted to be able to rest my hand on the canvas because those eyes needed a lot of precision. I spent 3 hours just on them and barely had time left to touch the vegetation. By day 8, the cold became unbearable. I'd chosen the garage in the first place because oil painting fumes aren't exactly healthy, and I didn't want my whole family breathing that in. But now, it wasn't sustainable anymore. Luckily, with Christmas over, one of the bedrooms freed up, and I relocated. My hands stopped feeling like blocks of ice, and I kept working on the background. Linkin Park and Monster brought me the flow, and I applied everything I had learned so far to get this done in time. If you're a 90s kid, don't forget to like the video. And for bed. But there's only 2 days left. And I don't know if I can finish this in time, honestly. Let's take a look.
Qu'est-ce que c'était le plus dur à apprendre pour la peinture à l'huile?
Le plus dur dans mes premiers cours, c'est parce que j'osais pas. Alors que bon, tu risques rien, faut se laisser aller. C'est pas grave, tu peux toujours revenir par-dessus, corriger. Mais quand tu débutes, t'oses pas, t'as trop peur de faire des bêtises.
Mm-hmm. Alright guys, this is day 9. So, including today, I've got 2 days left to finish this entire painting. And I think it's going to be tight. So let's just get into it. There isn't much to talk about. Today and tomorrow are only about painting. Let's do it.
Day 9 was all about shading and details, and it was honestly pretty rough. I had to redo parts multiple times, except for one thing, the tail. Somehow, I stopped copying the reference for it and just went with the flow, and it ended up being my favorite part of the painting. By the end of the day, Eevee was almost done, but the ears still needed work, and so did the entire background. With 1 day left, I wasn't sure I could actually finish it in time.
Alright, this is the 3rd session of day 9 and I really need to finish that face because tomorrow we're working on the background. But yeah, today, Eevee needs to be done. And just went for a quick walk. That was nice, cleared out my mind so that I can focus on making that cute little face as well as possible. Let's do it. Alright guys, today is the 31st of December, so I'm gonna stop now and I'll finish it tomorrow. For the last day, I'm really hoping I can actually finish the head and the background, but we'll see about that because it's gonna be short to finish on day 10. I'm not gonna lie. We'll see tomorrow. But tonight, let's relax, celebrate the new year and have some champagne.
Bonjour à tous, je m'appelle Thibaut et je suis peintre. We really gotta finish this little Pokemon. He is so cute. Let's make it even cuter. Let's go.
With full French mode enabled, time completely disappeared. I spent nearly 10 hours painting on that last day. I finished Eevee, then rushed through the background, focusing on blurriness as much as possible because I was simply running out of time. And just like that, Eevee was finished in all its glory and cuteness. So what do you think? If you were my mom, would this have impressed you? And did I actually learn oil painting in just 10 days? Let me know in the comments. As usual, leave a fail if you think I failed and a pass if you think I passed. What started as a need to impress someone turned into something else entirely. Something I wasn't expecting. A gateway into an art form I had never experienced and enjoyed way more than I thought. The flow I got into while painting was incredible, and watching the paintings come to life felt genuinely special. I know I've barely scratched the surface and I still have a lot to learn, especially when it comes to drawing. But for the first time, I feel confident that I can paint on my own and create my own work moving forward. If you've ever thought about trying oil painting but felt too intimidated, I hope this video showed you that it is possible. I've linked some great tutorials in the description if you want to give it a try. But did this whole challenge actually work? Was my mother impressed? Let's find out. Oof.
Ta-da!
C'est pas mal du tout. Je dirais magnifique pour un premier tableau.
Bon, tu es impressionné alors.
Ah ouais.
Bon, maintenant, il faut que tu notes tout. Combien est-ce que tu donnes à celui-là?
0.
0. Celui-là.
Non, c'est bien. 7.
7. Now, this one.
0.
0. Et enfin, Eevee, Evoli.
Je donnerais 8.
8. 8 out of 10. Woohoo! Alors, t'es impressionné.
Oh ouais.
We did it, guys. She's impressed.
Je reviens pas.
Can't believe it.
Tu pensais que j'allais arriver à faire ça en 10 jours?
Ah non, non. C'est très bien. Tu peux continuer tout seul.
Ouais. Ben, merci beaucoup.
Eh ben,
Un câlin merci d'apprentissage. Merci.
de rien.
She's impressed. I did it, guys. Now I can go on living my life.
With the challenge completed and a very real pass from my mother, it was time to relax a little bit.
Hey! Woo! The digging. You go and I follow you. I got it all!